So finally, Rockstar Games officially released the Grand Theft Auto The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition trailer, and in that trailer they had multiple graphical comparisons from the PS2 era all the way to the modern era of today. So in today's video, we're going to be going over all the graphical comparisons in the trailer. But before we get into the video, if you guys want to stay up to date with all the GTA, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition news I'm going to be doing here on the channel, including a full playthrough in all three of these amazing games, make sure to be subscribed and have post notifications for you guys and never miss an upload. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the first parts of the trailer, we have GTA San Andreas, and this is Carl in Los Venturas. So you guys can see how the graphics look like. This is the PS2 version, and you guys can see how the sky just full on like orange. It doesn't even look like it's really a sky, and the bushes are really low texture. The ground isn't really textured that much, and of course Carl himself. Now if we transition over to the remastered versions, you guys can see how much of a difference there is now. Now it looks like there's actually a sky, there's clouds, there's a sun in the background, the bushes look way more realistic. It honestly looks a bit like RDR2. And then Carl himself obviously is fully upgraded. He looks a lot more realistic, and the textures on the rock look way more realistic, and of course the ground itself has a lot more detail. So you guys can see how much of a difference Rockstar did with these remastered versions. For the next part of the trailer, we have Grand Theft Auto 3, and this is Claude in a train. So this is how the PS2 version looks. You guys can see pay attention to like the distance of like the skyscrapers in the background, and they also pay attention to the signs and the cars, and also of course probably the main things, the train itself. So this is the PS2 version. When we move over to the new improved remastered version, you guys can see how much of a difference it is. You could definitely read the signs more better. The reflection of the buildings in the background and the skyscrapers definitely shine out more because there's more draw distance. The textures on the track look 10 times more realistic, and of course the train itself, the reflection, amazing. And you can really see inside the trains now. It does have a lot of color. I'm really hoping that Rockstar does keep the dark feeling or dark vibe in GTA 3. When it comes to GTA 3 and 4, they always have like a dark vibe in Liberty City, and it really did match the story because GTA 3 stories really isn't a happy story, it's more of a sad story, and I really hope that Rockstar does keep this dark atmosphere in GTA 3. Next up we have Vice City, and this is a scene from Ocean Drive. Now look at the buildings, look at the palm trees, the ground itself, the sand on the beach, and you'll see how much of a difference Rockstar did. So this is the PS2 version. Now for the new remastered version, you guys can see there is way more palm trees, and the details on them are really realistic. The buildings itself have really changed. You could definitely see a lot more windows, and it's not just full on blurriness. You can read some of the words too on the buildings. The ground and the sand look way more realistic, and you can see a lot more buildings and more details in the background. And of course, look at the sky. I mean, look at all the clouds that we have now. Before, there was really no clouds in the sky. It was just full of like blueness and like a bit of like orangish with the sun and all that. But now it's just full of more clouds and more detail in these games. And it does look like that there's more cars on the street too compared to the original version. So I think that Rockstar is going to be adding way more cars into the street to make it more realistic, along with pedestrians. So that's going to be really, really nice. I'm happy that Rockstar is doing that. But again, Rockstar definitely did an amazing job with these remastered versions. Next up, we have a scene from GTA San Andreas. So this is a really important scene that you guys have to look at. Look at the number on the back of his jersey, look at his hat, look at the guy's dreads over here, and also look at Sweet and CJ, and also the background. All right, look at the tile background, and look at the little details that Rockstar adds when we switch over to the remastered version. So if we switch over, you guys can see the number on his back and his hat are definitely more readable. I think his hat says Andreas, so I'm guessing San Andreas. There's also now an added ashtray on this left side down here. You guys can see the top above the stove is definitely more detailed, along with the cabinets. And look at the background where CJ and Sweet are sitting. The background of the tiles have completely changed. Before it was just full on like black and just dirtiness, but now it's way more realistic. You can actually now see the tile design. Rockstar also added a bunch of dishes, and they also added microwave. It looks like hot sauce back there too. So I'm really happy that Rockstar isn't just like remastering the cutscenes, they're actually adding to it. And I think Rockstar is going to do this with multiple cutscenes. Not every cutscene probably needs to add things, but just like, you know, more cutscenes, just more details. And I'm happy that Rockstar didn't just add random stuff, and they really looked at these cutscenes to say, what should be added to make it more realistic? And this is really nice what Rockstar did. And look at even Sweet's hat, it's more easier to read. It definitely says LS. The cabinets look nicer, and you can actually see like the actual handles. Before it just like implemented into the like texture, but now it's actually like out and it looks really good. And then also even the window curtains look way more realistic, and the guy's dreads look way more better. Before just like a bit of like, you know, just brownish and darkish and like blackish, but now it's actually like really like fully fitting him. The clothes look way more realistic and better on all of the people in this cutscene, especially Speed with the pants. It was just all blurry in the PS2 version, but now with the remastered version it looks way better. And moving on, we also have another scene of Las Venturas, and this is again from GTA San Andreas. So this is the casino in Las Venturas, and look at all the details like on the lights where it says casino. Look at all the like palm trees in the sky and all that, and you'll see how much of a difference that there is now with the remastered versions. You guys can see how much it is more easier to read all the signs. The lights are definitely way brighter and nicer. Again, this is a fully upgraded lighting system. There's also now stars in the sky, which looks amazing. A lot more textures on the details, and of course there's way more people and cars, which looks amazing. And moving on, we have a scene from Grand Theft Auto 3, and this is Claude driving during the nighttime. Now this is probably like the part of the trailer that I was just like, wow, like it like really just stunned me to see how much of a difference there was. So this is GTA 3 again. This is just Claude driving in the nighttime in the rain. Now if you go over to the remastered version, you guys can see how much of a difference it is. First of all, look at all the rain drops. You can actually see more rain. When it comes to the older PS2 versions, the rain was just like a bunch of like little white blobs on the screen, but now with these remastered versions it actually looks like rain. You're actually seeing each individual raindrop actually hit the ground, and of course the car itself, the lights move more realistic. And look at Claude himself. It looks way more better to see Claude inside the car. It looks way more realistic, and of course with his remastered versions, way more cars on the street. Like I said earlier, I think Rockstar's going to be adding some more. The traffic lights are easier to see, and of course look at the background with the train itself. The train, you can actually see the lights inside the train, which makes it way more realistic, and the train itself is fully remastered, and the lighting just looks amazing. You can also see all the headlights from the cars hitting the ground, and even the traffic lights, they look way better. And the road texture itself, Rockstar did an amazing job with these remasters. You can see how much more detail there's in the roads, and obviously how it sticks out way better. Next up, we have a scene from GTA Vice City. So this is going to be 3 characters inside of a vehicle, and first off, Avery's hands are full on just mittens. Obviously back then they didn't really have fingers, and of course it's just really low textured, and there really isn't that many details inside this vehicle. Now if we move over to the remastered versions, you can see how much details there is. There's obviously fingers now for all the characters. You can also see way more details when it comes to their shirts, and of course their tops, and even the pants too, especially on Tommy Vercetti. And of course there's way more better lighting inside and outside the vehicle, and like I said earlier, they really have fingers now, so it's a way more better. It's not just full on mittens, so that looks really good. Next up, we have a scene from GTA San Andreas. This is after CJ does win a race, and of course this is one of the most important scenes inside of the trailer. Also, look at the background where the trees are and the wood pieces. Look at the car itself. Look at the license plate, which actually is blank right now. Look at CJ. And if we move over to the remastered versions, you guys can see how much of a detail. Like when you first look at this, it looks like GTA like 5 in my opinion. It really does, just like in the countryside or something like that. But now the car has a license plate. The reflection from the trees definitely are hitting the car. It looks amazing. The trees itself, the textures are 10 times better, along with the wood pieces on the side. And of course CJ himself fully remastered. Again, this looks a lot like GTA 5 in my opinion. Next up, we have this scene from GTA 3, and this is Salvatore Leone and Claude. And of course this is probably one of the most important scenes inside of this trailer, also with Salvatore Leone's hands. So you guys can see it doesn't really look like it's even any fingers. It just looks like a blob or something like that. But now if you move over to the remastered version, you can see how much details. You can see his fingers now, and you can see how much details on Salvatore Leone and Claude. There's way more color. It looks way more realistic, including Claude's hair, and the details in the back are really standing out, and it looks amazing. Now moving on, we have another scene for GTA Vice City, and as you guys can see, there's a lot of things happening in the background, of course, with all the lights, the clothing on the characters, but it does look really low textured. Now if we go over to the remastered version, you guys can see how much of a difference. First of all, the lights in the background are fully changed. It looks amazing on what Rockstar did with this lighting. And of course now Rockstar also added an ashtray. There's also some other small details that Rockstar added in the background. Looks like there's some couple saucers or something like that in the background now. The chairs have more detail. The characters themselves obviously have more detail, especially with the clothing. On the PS2 version, the clothing just looks a lot like blobs, and it's not really like textured a lot. It's low textured. But again, with the remastered version, you guys can see how much detail is added now, and it looks like realistic good clothing. So Rockstar definitely did an amazing job. Now for this last cutscene in the trailer, we have Sweet, Kendall, and also CJ. And again, you guys can see how much little details there are. Again, all the clothes look really low textured, and of course the background too. Now if we move over to the remastered version, you guys can see how much of a difference there is. First of all, Rockstar added a brand new painting. The window and the curtains look way more realistic. The light looks way better. Now it looks like it's actually on and it's actually a light. We also have more details and textures on all three of the characters in this cutscene. And of course they all have fingers now, which is really nice. And of course the lighting overall in this cutscene has dramatically changed and looks way better. So honestly, the remasters of these trilogies look really amazing, and I'm really happy with what Rockstar did. I just can't wait till these officially release on November 11th where we can obviously play them. And down in the comments, please let me know your thoughts on these remasters. Do you guys like them? Do you guys not like them? And of course, if you guys want to stay up to date with all the GTA, the Trilogy, the definitive edition news I'm going to be doing here on the channel, make sure to be subscribed and having post notifications for you guys that never miss an upload. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.